Sounds good. Thank you. How's everybody doing today? All right, so what we normally do is we try to teach somebody cooking techniques as opposed to just recipes. What we're going to show is kind of how we season, what to look for, what to listen for, and those sort of things when cooking. What's good about this is that we have fish and chicken here today. What you can use is beef, you could use pork, so if anything that you want to interchange with this is really at your discretion. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is evenly season the surface area of the fish. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're going back and forth and evenly seasoning the fish. The same thing with the salt. I'm using kosher salt. At the same time that I'm moving my hand back and forth like that, I'm also going like this so that way it doesn't just kind of stop in one spot. One of the main things that you want to hear is that noise, that sizzle. If you're not hearing that sizzle, you're basically just kind of boiling the food as opposed to actually trying to get that really nice sear. If you hear that the pan stops sizzling as much, then you want to either turn the pan up or stop putting in cold items into your pan. So what we normally have as far as the key ingredients for all of our dinner dishes is a base, whether it's a rice, a pasta, potatoes, quinoa, couscous, whole wheat pasta. We usually throw in green vegetables. What we have here today and what we want to show you is that no matter which sort of vegetables that you have, as long as you have a green vegetable in with your dish, and then what we have usually is an alternate colored veg, which in this case we use red tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. You can interchange the tomatoes out with red bell peppers, maybe carrots. But as long as you have the ingredients of the green vegetable, in this case we have some sugar snap peas, some broccoli, asparagus, and French green beans. You can switch all of them out back and forth. So the ones that we have here, we just blanched them a little bit in some boiling water. We let the water boil, come to a full boil, and we dropped them in there for probably about 1.5 minutes. We took them out, put them on a pan, and just let them cool down. So if you didn't do them blanching, you could also do them raw, which I also brought some sugar snap peas that are raw, so that way you can see that even if you want to like kind of condense that steps, you don't have to set up a pot, you don't have to have the water. You can just kind of let those cook in the pot that you have here. And just kind of imagine the liquid that we're going to be cooking with this is going to give it that kind of a fish broth kind of a flavor to it. So you're actually blanching your vegetables in a flavorful broth, so it's actually going to give it a little bit more flavor. So we're going to stick the liquid in the pan, just to the point where it kind of covers a little bit of all of the bottom. You see that? And then once we see that all of the wine is bubbling, we know that that's when our wine is right at the point that we're looking for. The fish, for something like about this thin, I want to say probably about maybe 3 or 4 minutes on one side. We're really not trying to cook it as much on the other side. You're almost getting about 80% cooked on one side. And really what we're trying to do is really develop the color on the meat first. And then when we flip it over, if you had a real thick piece of fish, say like mahi or Chilean sea bass or even halibut, it would take probably twice as long to cook in here. You may want to cover it. But since this one's pretty thin, we left it open. The same thing with the chicken over here. We actually kind of butterflied them so that way they could cook just a little bit faster. I have a piece right here, the one that actually has a nicer of the color, that actually is a little bit thicker, so we're going to end up letting that one sit in there for just a little bit longer. You know, really the big thing is just try to get fresh fish, and you know, just simple techniques like this, because then you're actually tasting what the fish tastes like. I mean, you could blacken season it, you could put you know, salsa on it, you could do, you know, barbecue sauce, and you could get all these flavors that, you know, salsa is really good. I love salsa, I love barbecue sauce, but if you're really trying to taste what the actual meat, you know, and really trying to, you know, go a little bit lighter, this is really what you're kind of going for. If you want those little hints of things, I would say, like, you know, the salsa, for instance, think of that as your vegetables that you're going to be throwing in there. Think of that as part of the liquid that you're going to be using. You can saute up the salsa by itself. If you had, you know, tomatoes with garlic, and you had cilantro, you'd get this, you know, nice little salsa. If you had tomatoes and garlic, but you used basil, then you'd have this sort of Italian sort of theme to it. So same techniques that are going to be used, but just interchanging, you know, one ingredient could, you know, totally change what your dish is going to be. Again, if you were doing something with salsa and you had rice, you know, for instance, you'd have this as your base, which would be your rice. If you wanted to totally change it again by using the tomatoes and the basil and the garlic, and really using a pasta, then you'd get that kind of Italian theme. So if you wanted to do some French style potatoes and use chives, you could, you know, and, you know, using the same ingredients with the tomatoes and just, you know, a little bit of garlic, but really just changing the flavor profile. So same thing if you're using fish, chicken, or beef or pork. It doesn't really matter what it is that you're using, as long as you're getting that really nice sear color and really getting to develop the flavors in that sort of manner. What I like about these sort of dishes is that there's only one pot or one pan. Yeah, so I mean, you know, just kind of coming from, you know, a chef's perspective, something that's going to save you time, something that's going to, you know, really all of your flavors are really being built into the dish. So throw a little bit of this. The basic way that I look at the white wine is almost like a squeeze of lemon. You want to cook the wine, you want to get it to boil, and you want to reduce down to where it kind of concentrates. And that's really with the Chardonnay. And so let's just say we were using the water. I have a couple of lemons here. You could actually squeeze the lemons into, like this one that we didn't use the wine, to give it that kind of acidity. And that's going to help bring out the flavor. So when you're thinking about cooking, you want to think about the sweet, the sour, the salty, and the bitter. And those sort of, you know, those things all coming together to create one dish. I think you're supposed to, but I don't normally do. I'm not one to count calories very often. So,
I don't have to.
you know, what's good about this is that there's no breading. There's no, you know, a lot of the heavy, you know, the starches, and really what you're trying to get the big bulk of. You're eating nutrient dense food, which is really the difference there. So you're going to end up feeling fuller. You know, you're going to enjoy what it is that you're making, and you're not going to have to pay as close attention to it because you're not going through all those processed and the frozen and the added ingredients and those sort of things. So. We do meals type stuff as well. Basically, we find out what you do and you don't like, any dietary needs or allergies, and then we'll try to create a custom meal plan for you. So this way you can kind of come in and pick up a couple of days worth of food. And then really what we do is all very seasonal. We don't really have menus on those sort of things. What it'll be is it's going to be something like this. It'll have, you know, in place of the rice, we may do a cilantro rice or a Spanish rice or a brown rice. We do quinoa, we do couscous, we do whole wheat pastas, we do gluten-free pastas. So really depending on what it is that you're looking for, you know, we just basically switch it up. Same thing with all of the meals, they'll have some sort of a green vegetable. So if you're getting 3 meals from us, you know, one week it could be asparagus, green beans, and broccoli. The next week, you know, it could be sugar snap peas, it could be English peas, it could be zucchini. So you'll still have green vegetables in all your dishes, but basically what's going to happen is we see what looks the nicest, what's in season, and what's freshest, and we pair that with whatever else is in season and looks nice and what's fresh.
So we don't really have to cook, we can just call you up and say, we need.
Yeah, basically.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we usually don't recommend going over 4 meals for the week. So in case something pops up, your meals will still, you know, you're not totally committed to it. But this way, you know, just in general, the way that you're going to be eating is going to be a whole lot healthier. So.
And how will they reach you if?
Take a look at our website, amazingchefcreations.com, or you can call me. We have some cards here. We'll get that information out for you as well. So. Yeah.